One of the painting. Don't put me on the spot, but it's
Don.
We learned a lot about our house. The house next to ours from down the farm, but it was the reason it's so close to our house is because it was the mother of it. And at one point the two houses had a pathway that connected them.
You don't want to get me started. Are you on a first name basis? Are you waiting for the 91st day when you sleep on the side or whatever?
So now he's got a 27-year-old.
Hey, Dave. How you doing, man? Yep. Good to see ya.
Yeah, I like that.
So it seems like we still got a few people making their way through the snack line, so we'll give us a little bit more time. Where did you get it?
I sent it, honestly, 9 times around.
Oh, that's exciting. I like that.
We'll have to do a
Yeah. I like the color.
We got enough concrete.
Hey, how are you?
So, right, yeah.
I think that one, I'm sure that was yeah, but it works with the other ones. Yes. And so some people are working there, one, two, three. But next year, my son will have it.
So we've been working on his original repairs, but hopefully he doesn't have to do more than he normally does. He'll be to yeah. Not by choice. It was really
Yeah, so we just wanted, there's a strip, there's a piece of grass.
she had to go in. We're not trying to So I wanted to say, to start off with, for those of you who may not know who I am, my name is Alyssa Bliven. Sorry, I forgot my name tag tonight. I'm the director of the gallery, and I just am so glad that so many people showed up tonight to see this wonderful show. And I wanted to say that I had a really fun time working with the Garsteckis on going through our collection room, one, showing off what we had, but then also seeing their choices. We definitely got some pieces out that haven't been out in a while. I know for sure there's at least 4 that I framed, so they had not been shown before, so that's exciting. I'm going to turn it over to them and let them talk about the process of picking the pieces.
Great, thanks Alyssa,
Yeah.
Appreciate it. Well, let me start by...
Sorry.
So for those of you that I haven't had a chance to meet yet tonight, my name is Marcus Garstecki. Started here at Barton July 1st as the 6th president of the college, and very honored to be in this position and to be a part of this great institution. And this is my wife, Kacie Garstecki.
Hi, everyone.
And just want to start by saying how great it has been to be part of Great Bend and Barton County and this community. Everybody's been so welcoming to us, and it did not take us long to feel like we're at home. And so that means a lot to us. As far as the show goes tonight and how we got here, I think I'm looking at Lindsay back there in the back row. I think you came to me in July. I don't think we had been here very long.
Yeah.
Month 1 for sure. And said, hey, I got an idea. And Lindsay said, why don't you curate a show in the Shafer Gallery? And I thought about it, and I'm like, well, I should do it. But I had to go home and ask Kacie, well, how do I curate a show?
What does curate mean?
This has been a fun process, and I've never done anything like this before. This is the first time that I've done this. It was exciting. I was nervous. I remember when I walked into the collection room for the first time, and it's just so overwhelming. One of the things that we're very fortunate here is to have the size of permanent collection that we do have. And I'm going to look to Alyssa. How many total pieces?
We are just over 1,000.
Just over 1,000, yeah. And you know that's you think about a college our size and community our size. That's really an impressive number. And so I walked in and I didn't know. You know, it's kind of like overwhelmed. Where do I start? Sort of what's going to be the theme? And so the first thing I did as we were walking around, and I think it was Alyssa said, just find the first piece. Find the first one and the rest will come together. And she was exactly right. And the first piece that I found, and you probably saw it on the marketing posts and the social media posts, was a painting by a gentleman with the last name Zarodnik. And what I really liked about it was I grew up in Wisconsin, but I grew up in a very urban area between Milwaukee and Chicago, about halfway in between. And when I saw that painting, it reminded me so much of the neighborhoods that I grew up in and that I had friends in, that lived in, and when we go back home to see family, it just reminded me of back home. And you know, you don't see those kind of buildings, those kind of houses out this way. And so it really hit home for me, and that was a start. And I said, okay, that's the one I want to focus on. And then it was so true. Everything else, it was like putting a puzzle together. And you found a piece and another piece, and they all sort of just seemed to fit together. When you have a chance, just on the other side of this wall here, you'll see several cityscapes. And again, those were the ones that just kind of reminded me of home. And so I really started my focus there. But I've been out here, I've kind of migrated west about 25 years ago. I spent some time in Dodge City for about 7 years. Then I was in western Nebraska, and then we were in South Dakota. And of course, you know, now here in Great Bend. And one thing that I've truly come to love and appreciate is small town living and rural areas and the culture. And that has really now become home for me. And so as you walk around, you'll see a lot of those kind of prairie scapes, country, some farms. One of the pieces that's over on this side here is by Roberta Condon. And that one was really fun for me because Roberta is an artist from Wisconsin, Portage, and we drive through Portage a lot of times on our way back and home to see family. But her work is all about the small family farm. And if you've ever driven through Wisconsin, the farms there are much smaller and a lot more rolling hills. But it's small farming, small family farms. And unfortunately, over the past decade or two, a lot of those small family farms have had to sell out, and they've changed. But it was kind of fun to see that, and again, sort of this memory for me, this core memory of Wisconsin and growing up when we would get out of town. So I was like putting, again, these pieces together, and then I really thought to myself, well, what about now, where we're at? And so I wanted to make sure that we really had a good collection from Great Bend, Kansas, and so I found a couple pieces, first from some of our Barton faculty. You'll see Mark Freeman, some of his pottery is in the show because I really felt that was important to highlight. And Charles B. Rogers, who was born, here in Great Bend. I'm sure many of you know of his work, and was actually, I think, at one point named Kansan of the Year and received an award from the governor at that time. And I've really, even before we started looking at work for the show, when we first got here, Kacie and Lindsay picked some art out for my office. And there's several of his pieces over there, and I just really enjoy his work, and so wanted to make sure to have the opportunity to include some of his work here tonight and in this show. So that was really fun. You'll see some pieces on the very back wall from Bev Simonson. And I know Bev is still here in the area. I hope at some point I get an opportunity to meet her. I really enjoy the colors that she uses in her work. Very vibrant, very bright. I know some of it is sort of in the Western landscape theme, kind of Arizona, Western Colorado. But again, I just really love the colors that she uses and picks out, and I think there's 3 of her pieces back there, and honestly I could have put 10 of them. I enjoyed them so much. But so Bev is represented. And then one of the last things that I sort of chose to add to the show some of you might know Dr. James Downing and his wife Virginia, and Dr. Downing was the third president, I think, here at Barton. I'm looking at Elaine. She's the walking encyclopedia. I think third. She's got all the history, and they had donated some pieces from their collection to the gallery. And I thought, you know what? Since the title of this show is the Executive Collection, those belonged to be a part of this show tonight. And so I know there's several. I know a couple of them are over here on this wall, and there might even be, and I think there's one on that back wall as well. So I wanted to make sure that, because I always believe home is where you're at, and you put roots where you're at, and so I really felt it was important that we sort of had that taste of Great Bend and Barton Community College. So.
Okay, I guess I can add a little bit. So we did this actually over the course of 2 sessions with Alyssa. So as Marcus was talking, he kind of got us kicked off and went in and found the anchor pieces and a lot of what you see here. And then I came in on day 2 and you joined us. So I had kind of a different approach, and I don't know if it was because it was the second pass, or it's kind of interesting because this is maybe opposite of our personalities. I'm usually more like strategic and like overthinking. But in this case, I just went with my gut. I kind of followed Alyssa around, and we had been through the collection for Marcus's office, and so she would pull something out, and I just kind of went with my gut. One of my favorite things about the pieces that I picked for tonight are the stories behind them. So again, it was really great to have Alyssa with us to kind of share if the art piece had a story or something about the artist. And so a couple that I just wanted to draw your attention to, on the far back wall, there's 2 pieces by an artist named Kevin Kelly, and he's an instructor over in Wichita. And you'll notice there, I don't know maybe what you'd call them, but they're a little bit more 3-dimensional. They're still hanging on the wall over there. But the story behind those is that during the pandemic, he created that art out of old pieces of art that he had, I guess, ripped up or destroyed in some way, kind of pushed it together. He actually, you couldn't find paper during that time in 2020, so he kind of drove his truck over to make I don't know if I'm getting this right, correct me if I'm wrong, but drove his truck over, to create that new medium for those. So I loved the story of sort of unfinished work or reclaimed art in those 2. My background is in literature and reading, and so I love a good story, so that was great. As soon as she said that, I was like, yep, we're going to put those 2 in. And then another one that I had picked out was the Philip Jacobson picture, and that I think is just such a conversation starter. The Road to Nowhere, I believe it's called, with a K-N-O-W, no. And so again, I liked the fact that some of this art has a story. It was like created under certain conditions and with someone's background, and then also art creates a story when you get in a setting like this, and it's just a great discussion piece, I thought. So, and then of course, I love the Sanzanes. I definitely picked that one out, and I picked out sort of a matching one that's hanging in Marcus's office. Yeah. So I was immediately drawn to those. Not knowing who the artist was or anything the first time that we went through the collection. So thank you all for coming. I appreciate it.
Yeah, and I think, I said this was the first time that I've done anything like this, and the experience was really cool. And I had time with both Alyssa and Rich. Rich is hanging out in the back there, and that was a fun part for me, the journey of this. And learning about the artist, learning about the history, learning about, in some cases, who donated the work to the Shafer Gallery, and just hearing all that I otherwise would have had no idea about. And as we were going through the room, at different times, I would ask each of them for their opinion. What do you think? I like this, but and it was funny too because Alyssa was quick to give me her opinion. She'd be like, "Yes, that's it." Rich was a little more reserved. Rich would maybe not. It was kind of like in school when your teacher would answer your question with another question to try to get you to think more. And that was kind of funny. He wouldn't give me the answer I wanted, but he made me think about it and shared some stories from when he curated his show here, and so that was fun to hear about as well. And one of the things I've told this story several times, but one of the reasons I love working on a college campus is because of a relationship between what happens on a campus and its community. Whether it's fine arts, performing arts, athletics, there's so many different things that bring a community and a college campus together. And that's truly one of the things that drew me to work in higher education and why I love the work that I do. And I remember, I saw before we even came to visit last year in the interview, I had seen there's a video on our website that some of you may have seen on the Shafer Gallery. And I was just like, you got to be kidding me. Like in Great Bend, Kansas, rural America, like there's a gallery that's this classy, and there's large colleges and universities that don't have a space like we have here, and it's very unique, and I think we're very fortunate, very blessed to have it, and that was something. And then when we came to visit and we walked in the door, because the video is great, but it certainly doesn't do it justice, and you walk in and you see the bronzes, sitting there, and you're just like, wow, this is really cool, and we're very lucky to have that. So I think from my perspective, like having the opportunity to do this show, and Lindsay had to kind of push me outside my comfort zone a little bit. I think just for us, we'll always be able to say that we have just a small piece of the legacy of being part and doing a show here in the Shafer, and I think that's really cool. So, yeah. Oh,
any questions, maybe? Yeah.
Yeah. Thank you all so much for coming tonight.
Are you familiar with the San Zane Gallery in Linsport?
Alyssa was telling me about it, but